Are you retaking CAT? There are more important things for you than an average fresher, because in your mind, there are more things at stake. So there are a few things that I would recommend you deal with if you are a retaker. And there are only 3 things to deal with that. Let's start with that. First one is that you should understand that your past percentile is not a reflection of your ability. And I am being very serious about it when I say it. Many times, as a repeater, we think that if we have gotten 85, 90 percentile or so, maybe 92 also, we have arrived, at least in that section where we have achieved that. But that is actually not true. For one reason is that getting a 90 percentile is just a game of 5 to 7 questions depending upon the section that you are taking. If a section contains, let's say, 25 questions, and if you are getting 5 questions correct, we cannot really expect that as your full ability. And especially when you are retaking CAT with some sort of gap in your preparation already, then assuming that you are there at 90 percentile might really put you in a very bad situation. So here is a bit of understanding for you as to where you can assume yourself and what you should do depending upon your previous year's CAT percentile. First is that if you got anything between 80 and 95, 80 and 95, that's a big range, 15 percentile I am talking about. It would be a good idea to not assume strength on any section, any section. One thing you can definitely think about is that, let's say if you are slightly closer to 95, then maybe dealing with a section could be easier for you as compared to some other section. But assuming a strength on that section, don't do that. Another thing that I would focus on is the difficulty level. For example, CAT changes the difficulty level for any section whatsoever in any given year. Nobody expected a particular CAT to be very difficult on quants. That was a section that was generally very easy, but that happened. So somebody who must have thought of that, hey, I'm really good at quants, now I'll be able to deal with it, suddenly got a shocker in that CAT which was conducted by IIM Lucknow. Difficulty levels will change, and so will your perceived ability. So it is a good idea that you go for classroom coaching if you are within that bucket. Second thing is, if your past percentile is more than 98, then in that section I can say that you can assume strength, because getting a 98 percentile is actually way more challenging than getting a 90 percentile, and slightly more challenging than 95 percentile. It of course will require regular practice for you, because if this is not the case, then this thing will fall more quickly than you can ever assume. In this case, you may not require classroom coaching for that particular section. So if you are a 98 percentile in all the 3 sections, you might not require coaching. But if this is the thing only in one section but not in the other 2 sections, it is a good idea to be part of a regular classroom learning. Again, it's your call. Second thing is that you rate your skill level, and I want you to listen to that carefully, and then I'll tell you a source which can help you rate that very interestingly. First thing is the question selection. How do you select your question? What is that skill for you? At what level you are? Are you poor in question selection, or you are moderate, or you are great? Question selection simply means looking at a question, quickly thinking whether you can do that or not, and then actually being able to perform that. If you think that this is an easy question, I can do it, and you should be able to do that, great. If you think it's an easy question and I'll be able to do that, but when you are sitting and you realize, oh, I cannot do it, poor. And somewhere in the middle it is moderate, that's your call. This is called a section level skill, as simple as that. The second thing is your question solving skill. One is selection, the other is solving. Solving means how quickly and accurately you can solve. Now that's basically an area level skill, not section level skill. For example, you might be good at profit and loss, but you might not be good at, say, probability. It's an area level skill, specifically for VARC. I'm really good at RC, but parajumbles can be slightly challenging for me. Although in the core, the entire VARC is dependent on the idea of comprehension. But yes, strengths at different levels in different things do matter. Do check whether you are falling in the category of poor, moderate, or great. Again, it depends on your accuracy, and when you get the question wrong, is it because of silly mistakes or conceptual problem? If it is because of silly mistakes, maybe you can put it as moderate. But if it is a conceptual problem and you're spending a lot of time on it and still getting a wrong answer, that's a poor question solving skill, and then you need to work on that. And the third thing, my dear, is this, the question range. Range as in what all things you should deal with, which means list down the topics where you require conceptual clarity. It is more relevant for quants and DILR. DILR ideally does not have a topics list, but there are some topics which appear more frequently than others. In case of quants, there is a dedicated topic list. So you have to find out what is that sweet spot for you. If it is a big range of topics that you need to deal with, great, then you have to start right away. And that was your second thing if you are a repeater. What is the third thing then? Third thing, before talking about third thing, I think I should tell you from where you can actually do that rating thing more efficiently. There is an interesting book called Bell the Cat, written by Tony Xavier. Wonderful book. It is basically your end-to-end companion. If you do not have it, it would be a great asset to possess. And although it is Bell the Cat, but a significant portion of the strategies are quite transferable to other B school exams as well, which are not Indian. So that's a good thing to have. And you can find that on all the top portals. I've just written Amazon Prime over there. Wonderful book. Anyway, coming to the third point, peak at the right time. And this is where I want your maximum attention. Peak at the right time means don't shoot your bolt immediately. Sometimes repeaters especially have this problem. Let me start with the mocks. I'm going to take mocks of 2-3 different players. No, that would not be an ideal idea. First, you have to understand where you're lying. Is it a 98 plus percentile or it is something up to 95? Even if it is 98 plus percentile, you have to do the basics quickly and then you can come up with the next thing, which is your mock solving. Then if we solve too many mocks immediately, then we are trying to peak earlier and then we will be exhausted by the time we reach the CAT. So there is a bit of timeline which I will share with you. I say that till June, starting today, whenever you are seeing this video. I'm hoping that it should be before June. You should be in learning mode. Nail the question solving efficiency thoroughly, which means you should be able to look at the question, quickly understand the question and solve it. Step number 1. And step number 2, you should be able to do these things very quickly. Second thing is the question range, which means your range of topics that you need to cover should be covered till June end. Sometimes it can fall a bit into July also, which is okay. But then dedicatedly from July to November, when your CAT exam is going to happen, you should be in testing mode. And this is where your mock taking will be dedicated. Mocks generally are started earlier in every single prominent institution. However, the pace of mock happens here. And that's what I'm talking about. Testing mode simply means that this is where you will build your accuracy. You will do the question selection. You will do this thing, silly mistake avoidance, which means you will build your awareness. And then you will build your solving speed. Once again, going through that book called Bell the Cat will really help you manage this particular timeline for yourself. And finally, here is a word of caution. Timetable you should definitely make, but not for eternity. So 7 to 9 a.m. maths is a bad timetable. But 7 to 8 a.m. quant, module 1, chapter 2, practice exercise, that is what you need to do. Which means your timetable cannot be for more than, say, 15 days. And then every 15 days, sometimes 10, sometimes 7, but 15 days maximum, you should keep on updating it. And it is a good idea to not just make it on your paper with the help of a pen, use Excel sheets for that. Second thing is regularity. In general, for CAT, 2 sections are taken care of with just regular practice of only 2 things. One is DILR set and the other one is the RC. So if you solve 1 RC every day minimum, that number will increase to even 6 when you will come closer to July or August. But doing 1 RC every day, 1 DILR set every day is better than doing, let's say, 7 on weekends. It is more about consistency and not about the volume. If you will do 5 to 7 RCs on the weekends, but you will not do anything during the weekdays, I'm sorry, you will not make it to CAT. And finally, this probably you will not like, please lose instant gratification of every sort. There are certain things which I can say on video. There are certain things which I cannot say on video. But I hope you know the meaning of spending, or I would say squandering the time on your parties, sitcoms, moment with friends and whatnot. There are some things that you have to prioritize and some things that you have to let go of, especially if you are a repeater. Although this goes for everybody, but as I said in the beginning, the stakes were slightly more for you in your own mind. And that's where you should deal with. And if there is further problem, do connect with your mentor at your institute or somewhere else, the one who is guiding you well. And if you do not have anybody like that, or if you want more guidance, feel free to reach out to us. We would be more than happy to help you with this. All the very best for your CAT preparation. We'll once again meet very soon.